Hey, how's it going, guys? You made it to the second video, so congrats on that, and it shows your loyalty to this channel, and I really appreciate it. If you've clicked on this video, then that obviously means you watch my top 5 Best Picture nominated films. But now I'm about to do my top 5 favorite Best Picture winners. I just got the inspiration for this because of this previous Oscars with Green Book, which I actually also wrote a review on Letterboxd. I'll make sure to put a link on that in the description if you're interested on that. So yeah, with Best Picture winners, they're tough because, you know, when you look at lists, the Academy sometimes gets it wrong, sometimes they're right. A lot of times I hear with complaints with Best Picture winners are, well, they're one-watch movies and that's it. But you know what? Sometimes those one-watch movies, they stick with you for a lifetime. They're immortalized, and I really do believe that. So I don't understand that argument sometimes. It really kind of sucks, though, seeing some of your favorite movies of the year not win. But I will say, at least the nomination is always going to be there. Then that takes a lot of... that's a huge accomplishment for those movies that definitely got nominated, at least. But anyway, I want to do my top 5 Best Picture winners. I'm going to do my 3 honorable mentions first. And we're going to start this list off with 1986's conspiracist and filmmaker. I don't know if he's actually conspiracist. I just like to throw that tag with him because of a certain book he's written. But that's 1986, starring Charlie Sheen. That's Oliver Stone's Platoon. Platoon, for me, is that one war movie where it has a lot more to say than just the war. You know, the movies like Saving Private Ryan, those are personal stories about people in war. And I know Saving Private Ryan is definitely like that go-to war movie. But for me, Platoon will always be that. Platoon, to me, has always been that movie about this one man, Charlie Sheen, and his struggle of trying to find who he is and what his purpose is in life. So he's a college student who enlists to go to the Vietnam War, which he shouldn't even be there because he didn't even get drafted. He's one of the privileged few, and he's trying to fight that mentality. And he notices when he's in his platoon, so to say, in Vietnam, that it's a living hell there. It really was. And he notices that the soldiers aren't only fighting the VC, the Viet Cong at the time, but they're also fighting themselves because they're going through internal battles, PTSD obviously, but they're also fighting themselves in platoon. I love this slipcover that I bought because it really orchestrates the division in the platoon in the movie, where you have Charlie Sheen. He's cut between 2 different kind of like father figures. He has a very scary Lieutenant Barnes, played by Tom Berenger, who's wrong one right there. Tom Berenger. Lieutenant Barnes is an insanely hard man. He's an old school conservative, obviously. That's very well documented in the movie. And he's there to get the job done, plain and simple. And he has a band of soldiers who listen to him. One of them would be Dr. Cox from Scrubs. And that his group is just really hard guys who are kind of like not mentally there. They're kind of almost sadistic in a way. They're there to kill, which is sad. And then the other one is played by I think it's Lieutenant Elias as well. I'm not sure what his actual title was, but it's Elias, played by Willem Dafoe. He represents the hippie movement of that time, and his band of like minorities, and they smoke weed and they listen to hippie music, and they just want the war to end. They don't want to be there anymore. And Charlie Sheen has to bounce between the two, and he learns a little about that. And he sees the war definitely isn't what it was. So, definitely talked about Platoon a little too long, but that's my honorable mention number 1. Honorable mention number 2 was a recent discovery for me. It's a movie I'd been wanting to watch for a very, very long time, just because of its accolades and obviously what it's done for cinema. It has one of my all-time favorite actors in Marlon Brando. That's 1954. For's On the Waterfront. I have it on Criterion. Thank you to my girlfriend Annie for getting this for me. Elia Kazan knocked this movie out of the park. It's about a guy named Terry, played by Marlon Brando. He works on the docks, and it's a movie about the Union strife on the New Jersey, I believe it is New Jersey, but it's basically about unions and the mob and the violence that was there taking place. For a movie that was in 1954, it's a pretty harsh movie. It really is, and it's just Terry's character is a very interesting one. Probably one of my favorite protagonists in a movie because of his confliction for wanting to belong, his naivety, and obviously he's very unintelligent. But he's doing this for a girl whose brother was killed that he may or may not had something to do with, and just choosing the loyalty and reading between the lines. It has that all-time famous line about, "Don't you understand?" When he's in the back of a car with his brother. He's like, "Don't you understand? I could have been something. I could have been a contender," because he's a boxer, and he says, "I could have been a somebody." I definitely butchered that quote, but that's where that quote comes from, is on the waterfront. Amazing picture. Can't wait to rewatch it again because I know I'll love it even more. And it's a beautiful release by Criterion as well. My final honorable mention is the 1950, nominated for 14 Oscars. Nominated for 14 Oscars. That is Bette Davis in All About Eve. Oh my goodness, this movie I ran into by luck. This is the Digibook edition. All About Eve, 1950. Best Picture winner, nominated for 14. I think it only won 6. It's definitely about Hollywood at its finest in its close, cliquey circles. It's about this girl named Eve who orchestrates a way of shooting up to the top of stardom. She's very shy, and she meets Bette Davis, who is her model, who is like her role model for like acting. And Bette Davis has a close circle of friends of high society, obviously, and Eve wants to be a part of that. She actually wants to replace them. And throughout the whole movie, she meticulously goes through breaking up the clique and trying to shoot her star all the way up to the top. It's a very dark take on Hollywood and kind of ahead of its time for 1950, 100%. It has some of the best acting I've seen in movies. Bette Davis, obviously a legend on screen. George Sanders won Best Supporting Actor for this movie as well, as he plays Addison, who is like a movie critic who's helping Eve. He's so sadistic. I'm not going to spoil too much more about this movie because I really want everyone to see this and find out how great it is for themselves. So that is my last honorable mention. Let's move on to the top 5s. So top 5, number 5 is going to be 1997's winner. Funny because it was my number 5, that beat my number 5 for the nominated movies, is James Cameron's Titanic. What can I say about Titanic that's never been said before? It makes me cry every time at the end. I feel like somebody else has also said that. It always makes me cry. This movie I grew up watching for reasons like what my mom, she really loved that movie. My grandmother also loved this movie. And I love Leonardo DiCaprio before he was chasing Oscars all the time. But man, this movie is amazing. Talk about epic. It's over like 3 hours long. It has like 2 VHS cassettes when I owned it. It's a love story. Honestly, it's a love story on the worst possible situation. It's historical, so that's also why I like it. Titanic is it's just simply an amazing movie. I always cry when Rose looks back at when the ship is sank, and then it kind of comes back to life, and she sees everyone standing there and clapping. That scene always gets me. I'm kind of starting to tear up. So we're gonna move on. That's my number 5. Number 4 is gonna be my 1943 Best Picture winner. Literally a perfect movie. You can watch it anytime. Best acting by Humphrey Bogart and Ingrid Bergman. That's Casablanca, 1943. Best Picture winner. Casablanca. If you haven't seen this movie before, I mean, you need to watch this movie. This is a must-watch. Simply. Rick Blaine, played by Humphrey Bogart, owns like a bar, saloon in Casablanca in Morocco, I believe, during World War II. And he is escaping his past, and his past finds out that he's there in Ingrid Bergman and her new lover, Laszlo, who's they both I think he escaped the concentration camp and is exposing the Nazis. This is all before the war ended, obviously. So it has very historical impact as well. honestly, Humphrey Bogart steals the show. Some of the best quotes are from this movie. And honestly, has one of my all-time favorite songs. As time goes by, which is played in the movie, it's so great. So great. I won't sing it, but I always hum it all the time. It kind of goes like, horrible humming. I can't even sing, but you know, if that shows you my passion, love for this movie, that's it right there. Casablanca is a perfect movie. Now we're up to my top threes. My number three is no surprise here. It's Francis Ford Coppola's 1972, The Godfather. I own this movie twice because I owned the Francis Ford Coppola Restoration Collection, and then I also bought the Steelbook for just the first one because the first one, in my opinion, is the best. I know everyone says 2 is maybe better than the first. Obviously, it's one of the best sequels ever made, but to me, 1 is better. 1 is better simply for the fact that Marlon Brando steals the show. Marlon Brando is also one of the best actors of all time. But it also has the best family dynamic that I really enjoy. You have James Caan as the older brother, Sonny. You have Frank Cazale, I believe is his first name, but Cazale is his last name. He plays Freddie, the middle child. And then obviously very young Al Pacino, that's Michael. And actually both the last 2 actors I just mentioned, they were also in 1970, I think it was 75. Or no, 75. 1975's best nominated, one of the best nominated movies in Dog Day Afternoon. But anyway, The Godfather, movie about a Sicilian family in New York who end up becoming in a turf war with the other 5 families over a drug dealer, simply, and Michael, who has to rise up and take over the family in this place of his father. This movie is very touching in family dynamics. It's also meticulously well written. I think 2's problem is it's just too convoluted. It's a little confusing at points. I understand it, but like I think when I first watched it, I kind of was scratching my head a bit. But this one is very simple. Robert Duvall plays Tom Hagen. Probably one of the best performances in the whole movie was through him. Talia Shire as Connie. So many of the quotes, straight from the beginning. The first hour, I think, at least 45 minutes, is just a Sicilian wedding, which is perfect. But yeah, if you really love gangster movies or crime movies, this is it right here. If you also just love amazing must-watch movies, this is also it too. Just forewarning, that movie is like 3.5 hours long though too, which flies by in my opinion. Number 2. I've already talked about this movie, so I won't dwell on it too much. But it was hard for between putting this 1 or 2. But that's Billy Wilder's 1945 masterpiece. Where's My Blu-ray? The Lost Weekend, starring Raymond Land. Oh my gosh, this movie's number 2, but I love it so much. Raymond Land plays a drunk writer or journalist who is down on his luck, and he's going on a binge weekend, simply as that. But I won't talk about it much longer because I've already done a video on it recently, and I'll post a link of that in the description. Let's move to number 1. Number 1, my favorite Best Picture winner of all time is 2003 Peter Jackson's Return of the King. No surprise here. This movie's 11 for 11 at the Oscars out of the 14 possible categories. This is a perfect movie. It's a perfect conclusion of an amazing trilogy that's impacted my life forever. I can watch these movies any day of the week, and I would never complain. But Return of the King is also like one of my favorites. I think Two Towers might be a little bit better. But this is the epic conclusion to an amazing trilogy. Man, this movie is gorgeous. You have to watch it in extended edition about the war concluding for the ring. Frodo, Aragorn, all that great stuff. I'm not going to dwell on it because I feel like everyone who's watching this channel has seen this movie. It's my number 1. Don't at me. Whew! So we finally got through that. My top 5 Oscar nominees and then my top 5 Best Picture winners. This has been a really fun video series with the 2-parters. Thank you everyone for watching and sticking with me for 2 videos. I thank you all for your support. You've all been super helpful with your critiques and your comments down below, and talking to you personally has been amazing. This channel has brought so much happiness to me, and I can't thank you all enough. I hope you all are safe and having a wonderful day and weekend. Thank you again from Chris here at Hertastic Reviews. I'm gonna have to sign off. I have a date coming up with my girlfriend, so thank you again. And I'm gonna post a bunch of links in the descriptions below. I'm signing off. Have a great day, guys.